First wanted to be a rapper, and then I wanted to be a poet, and I used to like go around the country doing poetry slams and winning at the age of like 13, and I was first published at the age of 16, you know. But then when I got to college, the reality hit me that, okay, you don't really have the opportunity to write because you don't have the foundation or the support to do that. You need to go do something that is going to make you money straight out of college.
Can you tell me a little bit about your parents and how you ended up in the foster system?
They were immigrants, Nigerian immigrants. The Nigerian culture, a man is supposed to be the breadwinner and he's supposed to provide. And, you know, my mother was the breadwinner. My father had a hard time establishing himself out here. And as a result, began to drink and then became, you know, abusive. And that led to him taking my mother, you know, when I was 6 years old, you know, so that's how we got into the foster care system. But I was still, you know, surrounded by like a lot of Nigerian family members and still had that Nigerian influence. And that helped me. Honestly, it helped me to see myself not just as a foster child, but also as this Nigerian culture, you know what I mean, person who's coming here.
Shade Room was your backup plan?
Yeah. You know what?
It's a pretty good plan B.
It's so funny. The day that I decided I wanted to do, I didn't even know the name yet, but I decided I wanted to do a blog. I researched how to make money on blogs. And every site was like, don't do it. It's a dying industry. Go, you know, walk away from it, you know? And so I had no reason to continue on except for the fact that something deep inside of me was like, no, but yours is not gonna be dead. My first post was explaining the Shade Room. So I was like, yeah, it may be called the Shade Room, but this is really the truth room. And you know, it's, when you tell the truth, people can misconstrue it as shade, but sometimes it's really truth. You know what I mean? Like that was my first post. Then after that, I was talking about Apollo. He was cheating on Phaedra. And I think I, you know, wrote my little dissertation on that. And then I just started to go, you know, ham on Instagram. And the reason why I started on Instagram was because of my weakness. I was not technologically savvy, so I didn't really know how to create a website, which actually happened to be the best thing that happened to me, you know, was starting on Instagram. It's funny how sometimes your weakness is used to help you in your journey. The gram was only $5,000, so it wasn't like a lot of money. My rent was $950 at the time. I had calculated it was gonna last me 6 months, but obviously that calculation was off by 3 months because you wanna eat and, you know, all these things. I gotta get my hair done, things I just didn't calculate, you know? And so it got to the point where my account was empty. It wasn't just empty, it was negative. And rent was due and I had a check. I was like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna write this check for my rent to my manager and I'm going to pray. You know what I mean? And it's funny that, you know, a lot of people will say she prayed. I prayed that my rent is covered. So I wrote the check to my manager and that day I was racking my brain like, how am I gonna do this? How am I gonna do this? And I got an idea. I see the IG models doing it. I'm gonna do it too. I'm going to put up a post and say, I'm accepting ads. At this time I had like 100,000 followers or so. And so I was like, well, let me post it. And so I did. And that day I made my rent money. I think I was charging like $75. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm doing it for $75. All these businesses started reaching out to me.
So brands just started into your DMs.
They were like, yeah, we want to be on the Shade Room. Of course. We were wondering when you were going to do this. So they were like, what? So I had like 11 or 12 businesses negotiating ads for like $75. So I made my rent.
Man. So I don't really believe in like motivation. I don't really, you know, think that, you know, I believe in being inspired, but yo, if this doesn't motivate you, I don't know what will. Like as an entrepreneur, like this is the core of why I went in business for myself, why I started Black Speakers Network, why I want to see so many of you win. Because, you know, forget all of that, you know, forget the textbooks, forget the, you know, college education. That's all cool. But when you hear a story like this, you know what's possible. So, you know, I got 3 lessons coming from this. You know, let's get into it. I'm excited. Let's go. What's going on, guys? Brian O's coming at you here at Black Speakers Network, and we got Miss Angelica. She goes by Angie, but Angelica Nwandu, founder and creator of the Shade Room, dropping knowledge about her journey and how she got started in this business. And I'm not really a big follower of the Shade Room. I probably will be paying more attention to it now, but whether you're into celebrity gossip or in that world or not, you have to respect the story that comes along with this. And so I think right now, as of this video, they're at something like 21 million followers on Instagram. Definitely one of the go-to sites online when it comes to this space. But looking at her story, a couple things stand out to me. Number one, it doesn't matter where you start, it matters where you're going. You have a person like Angie who admittedly, seemed like she came from a loving family, but ended up in the foster care system. And so, she was dealt a short hand in life. And so how many of us start off from a place where, we basically have to start the race of life with our shoelaces tied, whether that's be money, surviving violence, not growing up in a positive environment, inner city, all types of challenges. When I think about my own life, there was any number of things that should have taken me out. They say, every 1 in 3 black men could expect to be, in prison, incarcerated at some point in their lifetime. So, at any point could have ended up in jail, could have ended up dead, could have ended up on drugs, could have ended up, a victim of violence. And so they call it the trap for a reason. People don't get out. And so for her to come through that, and the same things though that hold some people down and become an excuse for other people, it becomes a reason. So to me, it was just really great and really refreshing to hear her talk about her past, not being ashamed of it, but being as a point of fuel and actually a point of inspiration for why she's doing what she's doing, and the reason why she had to focus on being successful right away. So that's number one. The second thing that I noticed is that you got to start where you are with what you have. You have to start where you are with what you have. And so in her particular case, I loved hearing about the story when she started the Shade Room, and she was online reading about the blogs and stuff like that. And everybody in the world was telling her, don't start a blog. Blogs are dead. They're not going anywhere. In the speaking industry, we hear this all the time. In the digital marketing space, we hear this all the time. Email marketing is dead. Traditional advertising is dead. Radio's dead. All these different things. And yet, what did she do? She leaned into her own skills, which was writing, and so while she didn't start a traditional blog, and she talked about that, instead of starting a regular blog, she went to the thing that she knew that she could execute quickly. And what was that? Instagram. And so many of us, we're spending way too much time trying to have the perfect launch. We want to get the perfect product, the perfect book, the perfect presentation out, when in reality, we just need to start where we are with what we have. And that's one thing that she absolutely did. And then the third thing that I wrote that I really, really love is that, closed mouths don't get fed. And so in her particular case, amazing story. She's about the, she had this $5,000 grant that was running out really, really quickly. And so she was basically on her last couple of $100. She wrote a check for her rent that she did not have. And then she went to work to say, okay, I just wrote this check. How am I going to get the money into my bank account? And so, for a lot of us, it's, honestly, some of you, as you're building your business, you might be a little bit too comfortable. You might have a good job, you might have benefits, you might have all these other things, and you're trying to build your dream on the side. But sometimes, you either need to be in a sense of urgency, or you have to manufacture a sense of urgency. And for her, your back is against the wall. And I really believe that when your back is against the wall, your back is up here, you don't have anywhere else to go, then that's when you can start to fully tap into the creative power of your mind. If your mind isn't forced to come up with a solution, you're not going to come up with one. But if you're in a room and the room is filling up with water, you're going to think of 3 to 4 ways to get out of that room really, really quickly before you run out of air. And it's the same thing in business. Some of us, we're operating far too close into our comfort zone. Like, you have to manufacture a sense of urgency. And not saying, you need to, not pay your rent potentially, but when you get into situations like that, you figure it out. She didn't have an ad strategy. She didn't have, fancy graphics or whatever. She was like, hey, $75, I'm selling ads. And you heard the story, by the end of the day, she had her entire rent covered and then some. And now companies all over, they were literally waiting on her to actually get started. And the same thing is with you. You probably have meeting planners waiting to book you. You have people ready to put you on that podcast. You have people waiting to bring you onto their platforms. You have people waiting to purchase your products and services. I know I was doing the same thing. When I first started Black Speakers Network, for a year and a half, we had no monetization strategy whatsoever. We just had a website and a Facebook group. And so, I remember talking to my financial planner, John, and he was like, hey, you ever going to monetize this thing? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, at this point we had a couple hundred, followers, and nowhere near what the Shade Room had at the time. But he was like, you literally have people ready to pay you right now. You got people ready to pay you right now, but they don't have a way to do it. And so when we launched our very first membership, $15 a month, put it out there, and guess what? One person turned to 2 turned to 4. We eventually had, 10 members, 20 members, 40 members, 50 members, 100, 200, 300, 400. And so you have to start somewhere. Some of you have people who literally, they are ready to pay you right now, but because you haven't asked for it, it's not going to happen. People can't purchase what they don't know exists. They can't put down money for a product that doesn't exist. You have to ask for it. And sometimes, we let sophistication stand in the way. And so those are the 3 things that I felt like are most important. This is a little bit of a longer video because I absolutely, love that story. I think you should watch the entire interview that Complex did because it is awesome. I'll drop the link in the description below. But absolutely, my question to you for this video is, what is the thing that you need to start selling right now? Not next week, not Q4, not 2021, 2022. Like, what is the thing that customers are ready to pay you for right now? Go ahead and drop that in the comments below. Let us know, because I'm curious. I just want to see. And once you make your first sale, come back to this video, come back to this, and I want to see what you're doing with it, because I guarantee you many of us are waiting and the time is over. And so if you like this video, if you like this content, make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe. If you're on Instagram, make sure you follow us at Black Speakers Network. And guess what? If you're ready to join a vibrant community, if you're ready to start or grow your speaking business, I invite you to come check us out over at the Black Speakers Network Facebook group. I'll drop the links in the comment below, or you could go to our bio on Instagram. And if you're really ready to take your speaking business to the next level, if you're ready to monetize your message, then I encourage you to apply for Black Speakers Network membership. We'll be able to help you get the clarity that you need, get the visibility that you're looking for, get on more stages, and make sure that you're connected with the audience that you're called to serve. But that's it for me. As always, keep speaking up, because your audience awaits, and I will talk to you next time.